You got that dirty bong still? Oh, he cleaned his bong, folks. Graham cleaned his bong. Hold on, does this media recorder have one of those like fancy doodle like sound effects? Let's put that in. Yes! Woo! He's got a clean bong. It's amazing.
It's so fabulous.
All right, that's about the extent of our production value here at Drunk Thoughts and High Opinions. Once again, that's the episode. That's the name of the show. What are we doing? What are we on? Show?
I've been your High Opinions.
Not yet. I haven't been drunk. I'm gonna make Manhattan. But why don't you kick off the show, Graham? Where are we? What are we doing here?
I was gonna kick it off with smoking, but if you're doing a thing, I don't know. We were talking something to do with Pinocchio, and why Pinocchio does not need to be hot or does need to be hot.
Well, hold on. I feel like there needs to be context around that statement.
Okay. If you feel like
we're
there
not
needs
just
to be
sitting here
context,
talking about
why
why
don't
little
you
boys
make
are
the
hot.
context then? Then why don't you? Okay, yeah. Are we fair enough? Are we allowed to say that?
Future Graham, you might want to look into that one.
I'm not editing this one. I'm going to be gone for the entire time.
I edited last week. What the fuck?
I edited the 2 before that.
That's because you fucked up the first one and you offered to do 2.
But I had offered to do 3 in a row, and the first one just got fucked up. So I did.
Oh Jesus, this is not good. This is not working out for you, Graham. Fine, I'll edit this one. Future Corey, look into that. Look into us not touching hot little boys.
That's not what I said.
Or talking about hot little boys. I don't know, but we were.
Yeah,
for the context. I'm just gonna finish.
There was an article that came out. I saw it last night. I don't know when it came out, but
you got to squeeze bottles to get all the juices out, right?
Glass bottles, sure.
Yep.
But there, I saw this article and it was talking about how we're getting 3 new Pinocchios. I was like, that's true. There are 3 like Pinocchio projects coming out, and then the end of the article title was, "But only one of them is hot," and I literally was like, what? Excuse me?
Hold up. Hold the fuck up.
Are we allowed to say that? Are we allowed to publish that?
We're gonna find out, YouTubes. But in the meantime, so let's see. Let's quickly go through the list, though. I think if we talk about the other 2 that are not hot, maybe we can give context to the one that is. Ooh, that sounds like a good hit right there. I'm jealous of that hit. That makes me jealous. Makes me a little hard too, but we're gonna move past that. So let's see. Disney Plus is doing their live action. I love how they say live action on these Disney movies when it's still fucking CGI.
Yes.
Like, it's still a cartoon. It's just a better looking cartoon than it was in 1940s.
It just looks like it could be live action if you really stretched. If you really
it's
stretched.
Tom Hanks staring at a tennis ball, folks. Get over it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they got their. So they're basically recreating the same Disney movie, and with new slew of actors. So Tom Hanks is Geppetto, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is what's his name? Jiminy.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. But the more interesting one is, what is it? Guillermo del Toro.
Yes, that's the one I'm interested in because
that's stop motion.
Stop motion, which is always cool. Stop motion, even attempting it, it obviously can be done bad, but most of the time, if somebody's actually putting in the steps to make it, it's gonna be, at least decent, a decent try at it. So, like, stop motion is just always interesting and cool to me. So I'm very excited about that, but I'm also very excited about the fact that it's not just it doesn't look like a boy. It doesn't look like a child. It looks like a weird,
you know what it looks like?
It kind of looks like a painting. Who is I'm thinking of the Spanish artist, surrealist artist. It kind of looks like something that you'd see from Salvador Dali or from any of the Cubists,
Yeah. But the first thing I thought of when I saw it?
What?
It looks like a little baby Ent from Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can see that.
That's where the Ent women went. They went and had Pinocchio.
Picasso. That's kind of what I got.
Couldn't think of the name Picasso.
I could not remember it. Very high.
Right,
speaking
fair.
of which.
Speaking of,
Picasso was immediately like the first thing I thought of when I saw Del Toro's trailer for it. And of course that's perfect because Del Toro, as we've discussed in a previous episode, Del Toro he does things in a very like, I think it becomes innocent simply because it is so weird. Like it becomes a, children can watch it because it's so weird and out there, whereas it's not horrifying to a child. It's more horrifying to adults, I think.
You've seen Pan's Labyrinth, right?
Yeah, and I actually think that story, while horrifying to children, I think it's more horrifying to adults than it is to children.
Because they know what the fuck is going on.
Because they know what the fuck is going on, and it's so much darker. Whereas kids, it's like, whereas a kid watching that is like, this is just kind of like, it's a little scary, you know, but like she's gonna, you know, get out in the end. But then like adults are sitting there weeping at the very end of the story as they're carrying the child out. You know, that's the kind of difference and that just goes for any good child's story. That's why I think that Del Toro actually does make children's movies. He just makes fucked up children's movies.
That's gonna be the tagline for today's episode. He doesn't. He makes fucked up children's movies. Fair enough. So we have those two. We got the Disney Plus G-rated version. You got the Del Toro fucked up children's movie version.
Yeah.
And then we have, what is it, Lies of P.
Yeah, The Lies of P.
Which is a video game. It's not a movie. It's
a
video
Souls-like.
game.
It looks like it's taking a lot of inspiration from Bloodborne, especially the world.
Yeah, very Victorian England looking, very Bloodborne-y or, you know, hack and slash game. Looks hard as balls. But you play as Pinocchio in this world. And Pinocchio looks like Timothée Chalamet on a very good day.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about with a hot Pinocchio.
So now everybody understands we're not, you know, you're not reading articles about touching hot little boys or hot, you know. Okay, it is a video game that
it is a video game where they have literally designed Pinocchio to look like Timothée Chalamet, and it's horrifying. I would have much preferred a Del Toro inspired Pinocchio for a Souls-like game, but
but
you know,
your characters moving
whatever.
all funny.
Unless that's just like the base look that they've given for the trailer. What if you can design your Pinocchio? Like it's always Pinocchio, but you get to design how it looks. If they do that, then this game gets an extra star for me. Right now, I have no like feelings about what it's going to be, but it will gain a star if it.
Geppetto in the beginning, and you build him.
That could be like that's the
character creator.
Yeah, so what they're showing us now is just like you can make this,
the base model.
This is just this is the simple base bullshit model that you can do. But
like there's a hunter on the front of Bloodborne's box. I mean,
exactly,
it's like the standard model.
Using a hunter saw,
Dark Souls.
Using the hunter saw, but the hunter saw is not exactly the main weapon. You have fucking 30 weapons you can choose from if you have the DLC. But so
we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to go into that.
Let's not go. We're not talking Bloodborne. Let's stay on target. So yeah, but I like that idea. I don't think they've announced anything, but like that would actually be kind of cool. Is like you open up, because I think the whole point of the game is you're looking for Geppetto. So like, you know, what if you have that open cutscene? Geppetto's building Pinocchio, and then he just like saunters off, and then that's when Pinocchio wakes up and you play the game. But you actually build Pinocchio in the beginning, and you build your Pinocchio. That's actually a pretty dope idea. I like that.
I hope it comes true.
Who's making this game? We need to figure that out, because you just they need to delay this and put that in. You just fix their game, Graham.
Yeah, and if they don't have it, then I'm not buying their game.
I'm not buying it. I'm just gonna wait for it to go on Disney Plus and download it that way.
It's being published by NeoWiz Games.
NeoWiz
Game. It's a publisher from South Korea.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
They love their Timothée Chalamet there, right?
NeoWiz Games and Round 8 Studio.
All right. Wait, that's the publisher is in South Korea?
Those are the developers.
Oh.
Those two.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, wait a minute, it's the developer we're looking for, not the publisher.
This looks like it's their first major game, so let's not get too excited here.
So this is going to be
let's not cream our
a
britches
beta game?
too. Yeah, I feel like it could be a beta game. Yeah, let's not cream our britches too early.
Whoops.
I hope it's for other reasons. Oh, well, I guess it's high opinions from now on, folks.
Oh, God, no. Oh, Jesus. I got a question, though. Sounds like a helicopter. The bonk just sounds better when you've cleaned it. Like it's satisfying on all the senses. Like, I'm sure the taste is good, the smell is good, now it sounds good. Like, it's amazing what a clean bong can do, right?
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing is, usually it's like this. I was just waiting because I didn't have my cleaning solution, which it's some fucking great cleaning solution.
Excuses.
Formula 420. Makes some good
That's
shit.
a little on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, they know who they're
They know their audience.
selling to.
They found that niche. Good on them.
It is so fast working. Like, you pour it in, you let it sit for literally a minute, and then you're just pouring it out, and it's clean. It is basically alcohol and salt, or I'm not sure if it's alcohol in a blue dye with salt. I don't know what it is. Doesn't have the ingredients. Don't care.
Because you're smoking it into your body now, buddy.
Oh, I make sure to clean it thoroughly after I've, with water.
Do you, though?
And isopropyl.
Do you?
Yes.
Right.
They also say explicitly on the bottle that it is safe as long as you don't actually consume it. Like,
so not gonna chug the bottle of
yeah, exactly.
bottle
Don't
420.
don't fucking chug the bottle of it. Then you'll be fucking fine. But
want to have a boat slam? We'll just slam it together.
Yeah, I'd be down.
All right, you first.
All right.
But I going back to Pinocchio, because I have a question. I has a question. So if you got hot Pinocchio generating, all the creaming in the britches, as you so eloquently put it. Remember, lady, he's single. But if he's hot Pinocchio and he gets with a hot girl, is he essentially at that point just a fucking dildo? Because he's not a real boy. Like, he's a puppet. He's an inanimate object. And a girl would be fucking the hot Timothée Chalamet puppet. Is she just fucking a dildo? Or...
Well, I think at this point it comes down to it when he... Is he a real boy when magic is imbued into him, or does he become a real boy at the very end after they've, like, made the wish?
Yeah, because before he doesn't have a conscience, so he's just going to fuck every girl and be like, I don't care if you get pregnant.
Okay, so let's, for the sake of argument, say that the magic that he uses to give him life, not necessarily make him a real boy, but to give him life and movement and sentience and whatnot, then that it could be akin to robotics. Now, is a robot a sex doll if you fuck it? Like,
yes. I don't think it's no longer a dildo, but it's still a sex toy.
Okay, then it's so Pinocchio.
So we've moved from a dildo to sex
there we go.
toy.
So we've narrowed it down. Pinocchio is not a dildo.
So he's a sex toy at that point.
He could arguably be a sex toy before he becomes a real boy.
So basically, any girl that sleeps with hot Timothée Chalamet Pinocchio is just masturbating with a sex doll.
I think there is a strong argument to be made there. Yes, I think that you could argue that in court. I think it would hold up. I don't think you should take it to court. Let me preface this. I don't think you should take this to court. I think that this is a stupid thing to take to court. I think that there's way better things to handle in court. However,
bourbon in the nose. Fuck you. Bourbon in the nose. Man down. Oh, get fucked. That stings.
Enjoy it, Rokes. Enjoy it.
Here's a hot drunk thought. Don't snort Manhattans, folks. Bad news. Stick to your cocaine like regular addicts. Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. So, hot Pinocchio.
I guess it's a thing.
If the game is good, then who
I
am
mean,
I to judge?
These,
And
typically,
if they let me make whatever Pinocchio I want, and let it be known, I will try and make the Del Toro Pinocchio.
I was gonna say, what will your Pinocchio look like?
So that he's
Graham?
like, well, I want him to walk around. Like, I want them to make a game where you can not just design the face, but you can design like the hobble of a character. So if like one leg is slightly shorter and one arm is slightly longer, so that when you're running, they actually like are affected that way. I want that in a Souls game, so that you could make the character literally run like a zombie does in those games. And then when they do the jump attack, it would look like the zombies do when they do their jump attack. That would be a very fun thing to do with the character. It doesn't change how much damage you do. It just changes the way the character like moves and like,
or does it?
I mean, it could. Bonuses in certain directions. They actually did. They did do that. They give you that option in Tiny Tina's Wonderland. That new Gearbox game, that spinoff of Borderlands. They allow you, when you're making your character, you can change like your ears, like different ears being bigger and different eyes being bigger and whatnot. You can just change either side of your body to be completely disproportionate, but it doesn't really affect your movement. You still basically move the fucking
it's typically
same.
a first-person shooter, so it doesn't
exactly.
You don't see it. It's basically anybody looking at your character's like, what
You
the
look
fuck
odd.
psychopath are you on?
Yeah, you look very odd, sir.
Something's not quite right.
So if they did something like that for Pinocchio, if I could make my Pinocchio be like a fucking hobbled mess who just like runs up and then like clobbers people to death with a fucking axe, then sign me up, coach. Put me in the game. Insert me, coach man.
I will pay you cold hard cash to never say that again.
It's one of my favorite jokes from The Good Place. What is it you Americans say? Insert me, coach man. Put me in, coach.
Have you seen Jamila Jamil and what she's doing with the She-Hulk like social medias?
Yeah, looks really
She's
fun.
like taking over as Titania, and like I did not enjoy the first episode. I know you did a lot, but I did not quite enjoy that first episode of She-Hulk very much. I thought it was very shallow. And especially the ending where it's like you got Jamila Jamil who just pops in and is like, who are you? And then punch and is done, like a one and done. Now, granted, she's coming back. We know she's coming back, but it was just like,
do you know why I'm enjoying this?
Stupid.
Do you know why I'm enjoying this show and everything that they've been doing in Phase 4, basically? Because it's just so dumb. It's just so dumb and bad. And I love that. They're not taking themselves seriously anymore.
That's fair.
And I like that. That's what I want from the comic book industry. That's what I want from comic book films. I really do not want them taking themselves seriously. As soon as they do, it all the fun is gone. So this show is leaning into just like we're a comic book show. This is not supposed to be serious. This is supposed to be dumb fun that you tune in to watch. Get over it. And that's how I've seen Phase 4. This girl it's
turns
dumb
green.
and bad. Yeah. Yes, it's dumb and bad. Yes, everything in the Phase 4 has been dumb and bad. That's how it should be. That's how superhero movies should be. And I know a lot of people would be like, oh no, that's a very dumb opinion because they should just be getting better. This is getting better. This is fixing it. This is being like the comics. You can have your dark comic book movies. You can have your Batmans. You can have your dark off like movies that really like dive into a character's psyche and do their thing. But let's be honest, most of the team up movies are not dark and gritty. They're just goofy fun where they have a bunch of superheroes creamed onto the fucking page.
Please stop saying cream.
Sorry, I'll find a different
adjective. Thank you. Or verb. Yeah.
Splurged onto the
not better.
Splurged victoriously onto every page.
Just ejaculated on every page.
That's the word I wanted to go with. I was just holding it back. I thank you for going. No.
Can I quote Letterkenny for a second?
Go ahead.
I wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud. See, it's interesting because I think I am in the camp that I almost prefer the serious comic book movies, and I'm not just saying like, oh, it's better. Like, it's just like that is a personal preference. I kind of like it when it's serious and gritty because these movies or the comics are fantastical. Like, they're meant to evoke your imagination and be fun and witty and unique, but like, you can do that in the comic, and you can do that with the cartoon. You can be funny, witty, and colorful and bright, and it works in live action too. I mean, Thor Ragnarok, case in point, is a fantastically done, funny, unique, and colorful movie. But my personal preference, what I would personally like to see, so it's all predicated on that, is I kind of like the more serious, a little bit desaturated, a little bit more like realistic. Like, what if Superman was a real character? You like your Zack
Snyder's.
I do. I actually really enjoyed the Zack Snyder. Now, it took me a long time to really dig into Man of Steel. Like, I originally did not like that movie, but it has since grown on me. And I did enjoy Batman versus Superman initially, and it's, I think it does a lot of things well. It does a lot of things not well, but it also does a lot of things very well. And I really did dig the serious tone of it, and the cinematography, which was fantastic. I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he struck a nice chord as like the old Batman, very Dark Knight Returns comic book Batman. Who's been doing it for 20 years and is just tired of bullshit, but does it because he knows he's the only one who really can. And, and I enjoyed Zach's cut of Justice League. And kudos to Whedon for eking out the film that he was able to do based on the circumstances. But once I saw that Justice League movie, the Zack Snyder cut, and I was like, oh, okay, Zach, okay. Okay, Zach, okay, I get what you're going for here.
See, I had the opposite journey that you did. I loved Man of Steel when I first saw it. Granted, I was... when did it come out? 2013?
Something like that.
I was like 15 years old. So, I wasn't a great judge of movies at the time. So, I just loved it implicitly. I was like, this is fantastic. I love this dark and gritty world. I want to see where it goes. And then I saw where it went, and I hated it. It was almost like seeing something that you really liked just becoming worse and worse and worse. So for me, because Man of Steel is the first movie...
Pretty sure that's all of our viewers watching this show, bud.
Yeah, honestly, though. But, that's the DC universe for me, because I really liked Man of Steel. I still kind of do. I still, on its own... I really like that movie. But it's just so problematic. Everything that came later. Everything else is just so bad. I can't put into words just in this episode alone. I'd have to do a whole special. I'd have to do a deep dive into why I hate...
We'll do a high opinion.
Yeah.
High-minded minute.
Another time.
High-minded hour.
A high-minded hour, honestly. We'll be here for a
high-hosted hour. And
I like that. A high-hosted hour. Okay.
Triple H. We'll do this wrestling style. But in the meantime, my drink is empty, so I say we start the show proper, and I make another drink. How's that sound?
Good Omen style. Hell yeah, let's do it.
That's a much better vodka tonic than I anticipated. Some crayon. For fun. How's your weed, Graham?
Oh, it is tip top. Oh,
you told me not to record, but we're
wonderful
recording.
stuff.
Just have a heads up on
yeah, no, I know. I saw.
You see the little pile of light?
I saw.
You know how some directors tell people like, "Oh yeah, this is just for practice, or this is just for rehearsal."
No, I saw, but you know why?
Like,
do you know how I knew you were recording? Because the screen went dark, and the numbers 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 started flashing at me. At least when an actor is in a studio, the director has the ability to put tape over the
pile of light.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing about this software. It doesn't. It's not subtle. It's not subtle about letting you know.
It's not subtle, but we had less audio drift this past week, which is nice.
Oh, that's very nice. Maybe it's just you. You know what you're doing. Fuck. Anyway.
I mean, that's the illusion I like to let everybody know.
Whatever. Audio drift is not usually. It's not that bad. It's just I don't like that it happens.
It's not that good either.
Yeah.
But anyway,
somebody made
we're
a
not
great
here to complain. Well, we are. Well,
somebody made a wonderful argument to me about why the Book of Boba Fett is actually a wonderful show and homage to the character of Boba Fett. Especially the latter half of the show, which I have previously said was the shittier part of the show. But they might have convinced me.
This is not going to be enough booze, is it?
That the second half of the show is a better homage to Boba Fett because he's hardly in it.
You know, that's probably the most logical and sound argument I've heard in my entire life regarding that show.
Boba Fett was a character who got so hyped up and thirsted after by every single fanboy and fangirl. Every single person who loved Star Wars was like so into Boba Fett for no logical reason.
It's the fucking bounty hunter. All right, calm your tits, buddy.
And so episode 6, they argue, is actually the perfect episode of the Book of Boba Fett because he's only in it for 2 seconds.
You know?
And that was the episode I hated the most, but now I think it might be the best episode simply for that reason.
I like this.
They argued. This is a
high opinion. My drunken adult brain is agreeing with it. We might be onto something. And I wonder if this is something they discussed in the writers' room. They're like, you know what? We can get away with this. You know why? Why? Because Boba Fett was hardly in the original shit. People loved him, and he was never in there. And they were like, I think he has,
you know what? You're right.
Out of the original trilogy, like less than 12 minutes of screen time. I think that's what he has.
I think he has less than 5 minutes of screen time across all the films. Like, because remember, screen time does not include if they're in a scene. It means if they're on the frame. So if an actor,
that's what I'm saying. You got you got the scene where Vader is like tells everybody to look for Han Solo. You got the scene where they do eject the trash and the Millennium Falcon disperses with that, and you see Boba Fett following them in what was formerly known as Slave One, no longer PC, bro.
But they only cut back to him for like 3 seconds at a time. So
and then you have all the shit in Cloud City, and then you got all the shit on, and this is where it really comes is in Return of the Jedi, all the background that he's in while they're in Hutt's palace. So he's in it a fair amount.
Yeah, I think
maybe, but it is.
He's
definitely
so not in
way out of proportion for the popularity of that fucking character.
He has
never got it.
He has cool armor for 1980.
Yeah. Okay.
He has cool armor for 1980, and that's what people were really into at the time.
Whatever.
That's what people were really into in 1980. Was like, oh my god, there's this really mysterious guy who's just kind of hanging around. What's his deal? And then nobody got an answer for 40 years, and now they got the answer, and it kind of sucks.
You're full of some high opinions today. I like it.
Hey, what's
I'm
the
just gonna
show
drunkenly
supposed
sit
to
back.
be?
Just keep it going. What else you got? You
Well, I was
texted
watching-
me earlier about Big Mouth.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
What you got on that? Let's segue into that one too. Let's
So I
hear it.
think
I'm
I
just
think
gonna
the
sit back and
show.
let you go.
I think that the show has been doing a very conscious ascension with the way they introduce all the creatures and monsters that are associated with different emotions, like depression and anxiety. And all right, what are you doing?
I'm gonna stop you right there for just because you have no foreplay. Everybody knows Star Wars, but not everybody might know Big Mouth.
All right, okay, that's a fair point. They
can't
okay.
assume we know what Big Mouth is. So
You make a very good point. All right,
back it up.
All right, I will.
Play with it a little bit.
I hear you. I'm going there. I don't need you to narrate it.
Shutting the fuck up.
Big Mouth, popular Netflix show on Netflix, only platform you can get it. Ayo. Created by Nick Kroll. I forget his name.
Andrew
Goldstein,
Goldberg.
Andrew Goldberg. Oh my god. All
like
right.
Jessica
Andrew Goldberg,
something.
and two others, who are
Wasn't John Mulaney? No, John Mulaney is just a voice actor.
He's just a producer and actor, but no.
I think Nick Kroll.
Big
you
animated
show.
show.
With Nick Kroll.
Nick Kroll is basically the big mind behind
He's the
behind
big,
it.
the big creative
And
juices.
he voices over like 70 of the characters at this point.
Shit, dude, he's fighting with South Park on that one.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it's
Keep
one of
talking,
the
I'm making
few.
another drink.
It's one of the few Netflix shows that has lasted as long as it has. I think
Season 6 coming out soon.
season 6 doesn't happen very often. I think
Netflix
the
is
only
like,
other
2,
show,
you got your 2, fuck you, you're done.
I think the only other show that I can think of that has gotten that much, that many seasons on Netflix, like an original show that started at season 1, not a show that got picked up like later. A show that started at season 1 is House of Cards. That's the only other show I can think of.
But
Is there one that you can think of?
well, I'm thinking, but House of Cards was the first one to come to my mind because it was also the first Netflix original show. But it also
before
was
they got
not
picky.
quite original because that was another show that we stole from the Brits.
True, but that's splitting hairs. I'm talking about a show that, like, in its original, like, run, it's not. Yes, it may be a ripoff, but in its original run, it started off.
Well, adaptation was a ripoff.
At season 1. At season 1 in
it's
Netflix.
not a show that originally like aired on FX and then moved to Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever, I hear you.
Yeah, it's not like Arrested Development that's got like its 4th season through Netflix instead of but it had done 3 seasons through.
There might be something, but honestly,
BoJack Horseman 6 seasons.
Good man.
Which
What a great show that was.
We're gonna get to that in a moment, but Big Mouth. The basic story is that these kids in middle school are going through puberty, and they are not just.
Would you say they're going through changes?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would say
song,
that.
folks.
I would say that they are going through changes.
That's my Ozzy Osbourne. If you like it.
That's not Ozzy Osbourne. I want you to know that that's not Ozzy Osbourne singing that song.
No, but Ozzy was the original writer.
Okay, I just want you to know. I just wanted to make sure that you know that. All right.
Please, I know who fucking Ozzy is before you were born.
Because if
I've been going off of fucking rails of a crazy train since you were in diapers, bitch.
Never mind.
Trigger warning.
The kids who are going through puberty are not going through in the sense that you would think, as they are there are different versions of emotions and pubescent
everybody
urges.
experiences puberty differently.
Yeah,
I mean, there's similarities.
But
obviously, you go through similar things, but they
but
all,
in this show,
how the reactions.
The shtick is that as kids and people get older, they get more and more anthropomorphic beings that are the attachments of like emotions and urges and feelings, representations of feelings. And like as the show starts out, the basic one is hormones, you know, the hormone monster, the one that gives you the basic urge to have sex or to want to have sex with another person or be attracted to another person. And that's the very, very basic urge that most human beings have. That's what they try to set up in the show, is like most human beings have, that's their very basic go-to emotion, and then it branches out from there. From
there they get a slew of other like monsters.
Depression kitties, anxiety mosquitoes, what was it, logic rocks, motivational like heart emoji kind of like fairies that follow you around that can also
love bug, like literal love bug.
Yeah, love bugs that can turn into hate worms. You know,
gratitoad.
Like it's gratitoad. That's my favorite. Oh, I'm just happy that you're happy, Mamacita. Like it's
Zach Galifianakis with like the worst Louisiana accent known to man.
Oh, it's great. I love it. He's so wonderful.
So anyway, so that's the basic idea.
It's just a really good show, but I as we've said, there's a lot of different beings that are presented, and I think the show, maybe not at first, but since season 2, has made a very, very conscious effort to add more and more emotions, not like all at once, but to take time. And when do we add each of these emotions? And they've completed their 5th season. They're about to do their 6th season. And back in March, they released the first season of their show, Human Resources, which I quite liked. You didn't like it as much as Big Mouth.
Correct.
But I liked it. I agree it wasn't as good as Big Mouth. I still enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't bad. I'm not saying it wasn't a good show. It just...
It was missing the charm of the kids.
So I was thinking about it. You sent me the text about Big Mouth a couple of days ago, and I was thinking about it before we did this episode. And I think it's because the Big Mouth gives you a genuine connection to the human-based characters. It gives you somebody you can understand and relate to on a basic level, just like any good TV show. They'll find a stereotype that you could be like, I relate to that character. You know, even Sheldon on Big Bang Theory, there are times you're like, I understand where he's coming from on those points.
Yeah.
Human Resources, as good as it was, I couldn't find a character to relate to.
Well, I felt like every episode of Human Resources had a new or multiple new characters to be excited about, and they actually had human characters that carried through in some of the anthropomorphized emotions storylines that we followed and were very attached to. I felt very attached, especially to the girl that we met in Big Mouth at the summer camp, who is now we're dealing with her grandmother and how her grandmother is having these dementia visions of the past, and I thought that was a beautiful episode about dementia.
Yeah, it was fine. It never made me connect with anybody because it kept jumping around, and you mainly followed the monsters, were just one representation. I mean, they had a range of emotions, but they're only one representation of emotion. And it was like, oh, we're gonna jump between this couple that's like having a hard time with their baby, and we're gonna jump with this couple here, and it was so scattershot. It was quantity, not quality for me. Versus Big Mouth had a lot of quality. Originally, it started with quality over quantity. Big Mouth started with you had 4 main characters.
Now they have a lot.
And then they've slowly introduced more, and you've slowly gained to understand and be like, oh, that's why this character ticks, and it works. But
most Human Resources comedies get faster over time. It's true of The Office. It's true of Parks and Recreation. It's true of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And
BoJack Horseman. Great comedy shows. Like, they'll usually start out, and the episode they'll take their time delivering a joke, and then as the series goes on, you see that they just get faster and faster at delivering.
But you still have
jokes.
that anchor. You still have BoJack. Even at the end of BoJack, he's still there. Human Resources being a spinoff, it didn't have those characters that I had grown to connect with, and so it just felt like I was floating around. And
see, I felt like I had been brought in. That was kind of what my argument was going to be here, is that the Big Mouth did such a good job of introducing us, at least to the characters, to a lot of the characters in a very basic way. To the human characters, but also to the anthropomorphized emotions. I think that they, like the monsters, I think that they did a very good job of lightly introducing them so that we were intrigued enough to watch Human Resources, and I felt like it totally explained what, like, who they were and what kind of like shit was going on in their lives. And I actually felt like I was starting to understand kind of some of the ideas that they were getting at with all these, when it was just all these emotions, like when all the hormone monsters would get together and just like fuck each other, and it felt like it was like
I was gonna say have an orgy.
Maybe have an orgy. They're all just fucking each other.
You're just going for the nines.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's be honest, swear words are funny. Let's be honest. People always say swear words are not that funny. They
Sidebar,
are.
fuck is the ultimate word in the English dictionary.
I love it. Yeah. So they're all fucking each other, and I loved the idea that because they're all like monsters, and the show already has that level of like there's an allegory, there's a metaphor here at some level. That show was like, what is the metaphor here? And I really want to like dive deeper to see what. And I was actually analyzing. I felt myself diving.
You
want to
know
like,
what the meaning is behind an orgy of
no,
monsters?
Not that necessarily, but all the like the love bugs helping each other. I thought that was a really interesting thing. Of it was love bugs helping each other, but it wasn't necessarily that. It was humans helping each other, but we were seeing it through the love bugs perspective. I liked that. Sorry, covering the mic. I thought that was a pretty cool, like, way to spin it, you know? And we weren't seeing that. That's what I was picking up on it, but that's what it...
See, I guess maybe I was looking at more on the surface level of, like, we weren't seeing it, so it was just meh. Like, I wasn't looking at it for anything deeper, because Big Mouth is nothing if not blunt. Like, there's obviously, like, deeper things going on, but they you know, it's like, they're not sitting there thinking, like, oh, it's a hormone monster with this boy, and the boy's watching a sexy girl. Maybe that boy's getting a boner. No, that monster jumps out and is like, hey, you hard yet? Let's get fucking.
But, no, that's
there's
the thing.
no subtlety to it.
That's the fun thing about these writers, is that they are really good at cloaking very smart things behind... hey, send her a dick pic. Girls love dick pics, especially when it comes out of nowhere with, like, no context. Like, they cloak... Excuse me, that went right to my throat.
Good.
When they...
That's what she said.
Fuck you. When they cloak shit behind that...
Yeah, they do a pretty good job with some subtext.
They'll have
the message meanings.
They'll have really interesting things to say, and then Maury will pop in and go, "Fuck her face," and it's just really quick, and you completely forget what has just been said because it's so blatant, and they cloak,
undercut it.
Yeah, they undercut. Well, I wouldn't even say undercut it. They're almost cutting away from when they've been blatant about a message. Like, hey, we should all be nice to people, and then he's like, "Oh, you want to stick your dick in her face, don't you?" And it's like they're trying to incept the message of be good, and then cloaking it in the worst way possible.
Be good. While providing oral sex at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. They'll do
the more
shit,
you know.
They'll do shit like that. It's like, it's okay to be horny, but also remember to be good. You know, that they do. They do a lot of that. That is kind of
like the whole message of the show. Like
that is the whole message of the show. Yeah.
But anyway, so Human Resources, it didn't stick that landing very well for me. The subtlety was too subtle, or not subtle enough, or something. It just was like, it it didn't hit the same way Big Mouth did, and so I personally didn't agree with it. But you did bring up a really good point in that text message that I was like, ooh, save that for a high opinion, and I want to discuss that more.
So, yeah, so I think that every season has very deliberately introduced slowly different things, the shame wizard, the depression kitty, all these different emotions. Hate worm. They've introduced all these different emotions and monsters slowly each season. Maybe like 2 or 3 a season at max.
Excuse me.
And then human resources, which came out after season 5 of Big Mouth. Human resources came out, and it was basically like we have the full scope of all of these things, and we're getting to see all of them. And then they brought in more and more, yeah. And they said basically this is the whole world of what's going on behind like these people's thoughts and feelings. And now I think that we've been introduced to that world in human resources. It's going to come back in season 6, and we're going to be getting the full scope, especially as these kids are getting older. I think that we're going to be getting the full slew of emotions from these kids, and it's going to be
getting more emotionally deeper.
Yeah, like each kid is going to have their full platoon. Like board meeting behind them, every kid is we're gonna be I feel maybe we're gonna be cutting away a lot to characters, or like the board meetings that we were seeing in stuff, whereas in the previous seasons it would, because they didn't have very like deep emotions, it would just be the 2 hormone monsters like talking about what's going on, like when Andrew and Missy would be talking, it would just be Maury and Connie like, okay Connie, what's the deal? And she's like, well, we want to get feisty, okay? And he's like, all right, well, he wants to fuck your face, so let's go with that. And it's just all dictated by hormones.
There was a glitch in the system. I might need you to have to do that again.
No, I am not doing that again. Fuck you. There was no glitch in the system. There was no hair in the gate. Fuck you.
Check the gate. Check the gate.
So
the gate says you need to do it again.
In the first season, that's how basic the kids' like emotions were. It was all about like their hormones, and then as the seasons went by, it was not just their hormones talking to each other, but like different emotions talking to each other. Like depression would be talking with somebody else's anxiety. That's what they would be fighting over, or the depression and the anxiety of one person would be fighting. That was very interesting. Always very good. So I think that season 6, now that we've seen what the full capacity of what can happen,
the full range of emotion,
full range of emotion, the board meeting and everything, I think that's what we're going to be seeing now. That's the full magnitude. And we were sort of getting like hints of that in the previous seasons. Like Jessie was walking in on her meetings a few times, but yeah. I think that now, instead of just having like the emotions running around,
DN ape.
Yeah, I think instead of having the emotions fucking running around and doing all that shit, it's gonna be a lot more like cutting back to the boardroom a lot, for each of the kids. Or one kid, the emotions are constantly trying to go out, probably Jay. All the monsters are trying to go out and like deal with him, and then like Missy, all the emotions are just kind of in the boardroom meeting because she's like just figured it out for some reason.
Well, she's the more emotional. Well, she seems like the more emotionally put together character.
Yeah, she seems like it.
But that could, but she's also horny spaz.
Yes.
At the same time, as we've been introduced with like several hormone
monsters. As are all the characters.
Yeah, they all fucking horny spaz is just like the hump shit. So that's interesting. Like I kind of, as much as I didn't like human resources, sorry, I phrased that poorly. As much as I did not enjoy human resources as much as I enjoyed Big Mouth, I think that's a solid theory that show will just kind of serve as like a supplement to be like, here's a lot more emotions that we want to introduce, but instead of trickling it in season by season, here's a lot more. And so, and then they even established it in the trailer for season 6 of Big Mouth. Yeah. They say, oh, I guess what happens in human resources happens in Big Mouth too. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So like, that's
definitely why I was thinking about it.
Yeah, and so caring, it's like let's, now we can bring in a lot more emotions, and the viewers will be prepared for it, quote unquote, because they're assuming they've seen Human Resources.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I ship that. I think that's a solid theory for sure.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna see a lot more of the full scope of the monsters and emotions working all together instead of just a couple of them, 2 or 3. It's been building, and I think we're gonna start seeing 8 to 10 members of each of the kids' emotions, and it's gonna be chaotic, but there's a reason for that, because life is chaos.
I mean, we've all, anybody who's been a teenager knows your feelings are just chaos when you're 12,
exactly
13, 14, 15.
And being a person.
Speaking of chaos,
that's a lot of head. You know what? As a sommelier once said to me, froth becomes beer. It always becomes beer. It's not like you're losing beer. It just turns into beer.
This is awkward silence, bud. You need to
This is
talking.
Awkward silence. I'm
our podcast
dude,
listeners,
I am
remember,
high. I am staring at your beer pouring. You can't captivate me like this. You cannot do that. If you don't want there to be awkward silence, don't do captivating. No, that's just a turn off. Like
if I lick my nipple, would that be
fuck,
captivating
no,
for you?
No, that's no. But the pouring of the beer and watching it the foam turn into beer, that's fucking jazz music to me, man.
Look at my beer, Graham.
Sheboygan Brewing Company.
She's a boy again.
Are they gonna sponsor us because you just put slather their logo all over the screen?
Fucking A, I wish.
Contact them. Hey.
Honestly,
my co-host is screaming your name, Sheboygan Brewing Company, right now on our podcast. Will you sponsor us? And if you say no, he will continue to scream Sheboygan Brewing Company into the microphone until you say yes. Sheboygan Brewing Company.
Sheboygan. See, that's when I mute Graham, when he does stupid shit like that. I'm sorry, folks. I might have to cut that out later. But for now, we're going to mute Graham and just have a little one-on-one time. Holy shit, yeah, he's pissed. He's super pissed right now. That's actually hysterical. All right, you're back. I do know a bartender at Sheboygan Brewery. She was the wife and mother of one of my hockey players back in middle school. So, big shout out to the Myers family. They were good folks. Alan Myers, their son, actually, the one I played hockey with, is the reason I ended up at Michigan Tech for my undergrad. Because he was a fellow trumpet player, and he told me about the pep band, and that was very intriguing. But that's a whole other story. We're not going to go down that road.
You just sit there and act like you didn't mute me. Like you didn't mute your co-host.
Well, when you reach a pitch where even dogs in the local neighborhood are pissed off, yeah, I'm gonna fucking mute.
That is between me and the
the dogs.
I pointed at you. It's between me and the dogs. Hell yeah. You best believe it.
I beg to differ. Because the dogs got to hear your ass regardless. We have listeners who are choosing to spend their hard-earned hours listening to our asses. And I think we need to treat them right. And by you hitting a level that can only be, hit on...
The flute?
The flute, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will mute your ass every time.
Well, fuck you.
See, you got to stop saying that. You said it like 6 times last episode, and it just lost all meaning. You gotta come up with something better, bud. You gotta work at it. You gotta get creative.
I know. I'm very, very high.
That sounds like a personal problem.
Well, when I'm very high, I lose momentum, you know?
Oh, I'm aware. I've seen your work.
Yep. It's because I end up smoking indica, and I need to stop that.
Or, just stop smoking.
No, it's sativa is fantastic. Every time I smoke sativa, I work fucking brilliantly. I just end up wanting the indica to relax, and then end up mixing them, and it doesn't work out.
Not being productive.
Yep.
Again, I've seen your work, bud.
I know. We're cutting this.
I have seen your producer's binders.
Fuck. You
got Blue Eyes out, though. You put it out there. It's a finished product. I have yet to watch it, but it's out there.
It's out there. It's good. I'm proud of it. I've been proud of it. I've wanted to put it out.
I got a friend coming to town, and she wants to see the short films I produced. So I'm going to probably show her Hermanos and Adamant, and when we do that little watch party, I'll probably bring up Blue Eyes as well, and we'll watch it together.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, this is what Graham did. And be like, there's my legs. My little cameo.
If you imagine it, you can hear me saying, all right, quiet on set.
That's not something you want to be able to imagine when you're watching a short film. That's not a compliment, Graham.
But isn't that when you're a crew member? Isn't that the thing you want to try and like get the girl to be excited about what you're doing? And so guys will come up with the worst shit, like, "Oh man, yeah, you can see exactly where I put that light." You want me to like
brag to this girl and be like,
exactly.
I ran this show.
Yeah, I ran the show, man.
No.
I ran the show, babe.
Because you know why?
That was me.
And I'm going to announce it here first on Drunk Thoughts and High Opinions. I produced a festival-selected short film.
For those who don't know, festival selected doesn't mean very much.
Fuck you. See how I put the inflection on it? It made it different. Instead of just saying "fuck you," I was like "fuck you." I went up with it, and that's how you make it. That's how you keep. Yeah, you don't do shit, you high asshole. But yeah, a lot of short films. Kind of the whole thing about short films is you get them into festivals to gain, to gain popularity, gain notoriety, gain contacts, and just bragging rights, and just have fun with it. And I am super stoked to say that Hermanos, one of the short films that I produced at the Vancouver Film School, was accepted by the Smodco Film Festival, which is Kevin Smith's first annual film festival. And this is doubly exciting because many of you probably know that I adore Kevin Smith and his work. So the fact to be a part of his first ever film festival is, you can stop politely and angrily.
Well, what I'm hoping is that you'll take out that footage, cut out all of it, and just replace my footage with the scene from Citizen Kane, where he just like claps ferociously, standing up, can't stop clapping, just keeps.
Yeah,
that's what I want you to when you're editing. I want that. Well, because that's my response. That's how I feel about you getting selected at Smodco. That legitimately, that's what I want you to put.
Don't be surly.
Okay.
Don't be salty. Hey, you were production manager on that. You should be proud.
No, literally, I am. That's what I'm saying. I'm proud.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want you to put
golf clap.
That's why I was trying to be appropriate, because the mic is right here.
Mm-hmm.
Here. That's what I wanted to do.
Then why did you do it in the first place?
Because I'm lazy. I am lazy, as you just said.
We discussed this. You're high. We get it.
Thank you. Somebody gets me.
Yeah. If there's one thing I had to be good at in this world, I thought I'd be producing a short film, and that's something to it. But no, it's understanding Graham. We all got our talents, folks.
Well, hey, understanding Graham could get you working on a great show. Producing a great show.
Yeah, if you finish writing it.
Hey, I am 200 pages into this thing at this point. It's going great.
So, like, what? A fifth?
Oh, like, not even. Maybe
about
like
a percentage?
Maybe like a 20th. Wait.
God damn it.
How much would 200 be if it was 1/20th? My math is
That's a fifth. For the record, that's a fifth. So
1/20th?
Yeah, because 5 times 20 is 100. So that's no, 5%.
1/5 is 1/5. 1/20th is 1/20.
Yeah, but
Never mind. It's in all probably going to end up being like 2,000,
But if you
3,000
take
pages.
1 divided by 20, it is 0.05, which is 5%. So sorry, that's what I meant to say. Was 5% a fifth when I said
Fair.
fifth. Like 5%. That's where you're at.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yep. But hey, I'm like a third of the way done with the first book.
Out of how many?
3. Which will then include lots of short story side editions and other books.
So you're gonna just Tolkien this shit with all of like appendices out the wazoo. And, oh god damn it.
Oh yeah, so much. This compendium is gonna be like 100,000 pages long.
I hate you so much. And you want me to fucking option this and produce it into a film, TV series?
Just the first 3 books. The compendium is for me.
Right.
That's for fans to do with it what they want once I'm dead.
Sooner than later, bud.
Ideally not. You know what? I've been watching the Sandman. Sandman is that new show on Netflix by Neil Gaiman. And
hey, folks, he learned how to contextualize his conversations. Let's give him another round of applause.
You.
Oh my God, he's learning. He's evolving in the world. It's so awesome. Like,
do not interrupt. Can you not interrupt me and make me lose my train of thought? My God, sir. My God, sir. Ugh. Anyway, Sandman.
What about your god?
Based off of Neil Gaiman's comic book of the same name from 1987 to 1992, I believe. 1995. Sure. Ran for a few years, but it's considered to be one of the great comic or graphic series of all time. Because it kind of changed a lot of people's perspectives on what a comic could be, what a graphic novel could be.
Yeah,
because
it's not a superheroes thing for one.
Similar to Watchmen, like Watchmen changed the idea of what a superhero story could be, but Sandman changed the idea of what a graphic novel can be used for, because it didn't deal with superheroes really. It had superheroes at the time because it was supposed to be connected to DC, and for the first, few comics, it is very connected to DC, and then they very quickly move away and become their own thing. But the show itself is not about like superheroes and superpowers and stuff like that. It's about the mind. It's about being human, and it's very similar to Big Mouth actually. It's kind of Big Mouth before Big Mouth, but about the true horrors of the world and how people think. Instead of emotions and fears and pains, it's more about it becomes much larger than having monsters that come in and joke about what's going on in your life. There are 7 fundamental creatures or beings that were there since the beginning of time: death and destiny and dream. Dream is the main character. There's a slew of them, and they all are their siblings that are basically the be all and end all. they're even higher than, they're more powerful than, most things in the universe. And Dream, he, at the beginning of the series, is accidentally locked away when a bunch of crazy magic Satanists, basically, in Britain, try to summon death. They want to conjure... Yeah, I know. They want to conjure and entrap death so that they can force death to do whatever they want. But they accidentally conjure Dream. And Dream is a vengeful being. So instead of giving them anything, instead of doing anything, he does not speak. He just waits for them to die. And waits for them to slip up and accidentally let him out. And that's basically the beginning of the series. And once he's out, he has to go on his journey to reclaim his tokens that belong to him, his gem, his mask, his crown, his
so what does this have to do with anything?
Fuck, I forgot where I was going with it. I have to tell you. Too. And I don't know where I started with it. I don't know why I started talking about it. I had a good point and then I lost it. And that's the problem. That's the problem with Strong Thoughts and High Opinions, is you can have a great thought and then...
We were talking about how high you were and...
That's not going to help me at all.
Yeah, that's going to say that's a pretty average thing. So
I'm just going to let's just talk about the show. Like, I think
I've never seen it, so it's a one-sided conversation. I've yet to read the book or watch the show.
I'll find my way back to my point.
Or how about you?
I know. I know because I know what my point was. So in that show, because the comics were very, it had an overarching plot, but it was very much like short stories for a long time. And one of those short stories, a lot of short stories in the beginning. One of the best ones, in fact, the episode that has gotten the most praise from the new season was adapted from one of the early comics, which is called The Sound of Her Wings, which is about death and him meeting his sister. After he's reclaimed all his tokens and, gotten his power back, he is not sure what to do with himself. He's lost so many years of his life, and he's kind of lost now a little bit. His kingdom is crumbling. The kingdom of Dream, and Death reminds him how she does her duty and how he must do his duty. And she also reminds him of a friend that he hasn't spoken to in a long time. And he goes back and meets with a man he hasn't spoken to in 100 years. A man who, back in the 1300s, Morpheus, Dream, and Death were in a bar, and they saw a guy who's like, I'm gonna live forever. I promise you, I'm gonna live for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years. I'm never gonna die. And Dream goes to him and says, do you really want to have this ability? And the guy says, of course, I want to live forever. Why wouldn't I? And he goes, then you will never die. From this point on, no matter what happens to you, people can hurt you, people can do whatever they want to you, you will never age, you can starve, you will never die. And the guy doesn't take him seriously. But then he says, meet me back here in 100 years, in the same place, in the same tavern, and we'll talk. And the guy, of course, doesn't take him seriously, but 100 years later, he's there because he lived 100 years and nothing bad happened to him. Well, I mean, things happened. And so it goes year by year, or 100 years by 100 years, and they keep meeting up and meeting each other.
Century is the word you're looking for.
Thank you. It goes century by century, and they discuss how it's going. And of course, every single century, he has something else happen. He's a rich man, he's the poorest man, he's been like in prison for 20 years with no food because he can't die. And then he becomes like a lord and a successful man in the tech industry and blah blah blah. He just goes through all these different phases. And one of the things that they ask in that is, even when he's at his lowest, when he hasn't eaten any food in 20 years, he says, do you want me to take away the ability? And he goes, no, I have so much to live for. If I can live forever, I can always have the ability to bounce back from this. And that's a very dark thought, but at the same time, it's an optimistic take on a dark fate, in my opinion, because I think immortality is a very dark fate. I don't think anybody would want to live forever or live for an extended period of time like that. That would be miserable. But I think that was a very interesting, optimistic take on it. If there is some optimism to be taken from the concept of immortality, let that be it. That,
I'm losing wood over here. What's your point?
That there's always a way that you can fix it, even if you're at your lowest, even if you've done the worst things, you can always like bounce back and be better and learn from your mistakes and be a better person. And I think that that was exactly what they were going for. Like, it's been a hot topic on because of some of the controversial things that he does in the show. It turns out that he's a slave trader at one point in the show, or in the Centuries, and Dream shuns him for it. Dream's like, is that real? You need to find a better thing to do with your life. And of course, as the centuries go by, he's like, well, you can never forget that you did a horrible thing. And so you always have to live with that, but you can also be better and know that you've done bad and be better. So,
Graham, you are the reason why I drink.
I thought it was a fantastic show. I thought that they did a beautiful job adapting the work. They did wonderful work. Yeah, Neil Gaiman did a good job overseeing it and making sure that they didn't, go too crazy. I think that my biggest complaint... you're spilling some major foam over there, my man.
I don't know what you're talking about. You saw nothing.
I saw everything. I think my biggest complaint with the show is that it is too Netflixed up. Like, Netflix has a way with their CGI that is just kind of its style, and the way that they edit and reveal stuff. I don't know. It was glaring to me, and I think that a part of it is David S. Goyer. David S. Goyer has worked on a lot of superhero projects. He's basically the biggest comic book film writer.
But he goes back to harkens back to the original Blades back in the late 90s.
Yeah, so like he I think of him as like the comic book director or writer equivalent of James Cameron. Like, just because he's done some good does not mean that he hasn't done a lot of fucking shit. So I think David S. Goyer has done some good, as I've just said, but he has been very problematic, especially in the last few years. Like, I loved the Dark Knight trilogy, but everything he's been doing with Snyder, not loving the writing in those shows. The visuals work for what they're doing. I've not loved the writing at all. That's my biggest problem with those shows. So that's on him, honestly, at this point. So he worked on Foundation, which we're going to talk about at some point in the future. But he worked on Foundation, which was
Spoilers.
An admirable adaptation of the source material, but it had a lot of like his fingerprints all over it. You could tell, like, visually I could just see so much stuff taken from working with Snyder. It was like he built a company of visual effects artists and said, I want you to replicate everything that we've been doing with what I've been doing with Zack Snyder. And they were like, okay, boss. And that's kind of what his visual style feels like now. And Sandman, that's the only thing that Sandman suffers from, in my opinion, is that David S. Goyer kind of like, we're just going to copy the CGI that we did in the DC shows. And it's okay. It's okay. And they've done a good job of making it match the source material here and adapting it properly, but it's still glaring sometimes.
I was gonna say it looked very contrasty and like desaturated, and kind of like, I mean, I own the first novel, Preludes and Nocturnes, and it looks good. I'm excited to watch the show. I just kind of want to watch. I can't decide if I want to read the series first and then watch the show, or watch the show and then read the series. Either way,
I watched the show. I watched the show first. I think it might be the better way. Because my brother obviously loves the comics better because he adores the comics. So, but I think it might be just interesting to get the take of like seeing the show first and then going back and.
Yeah, I mean, I've always known this was a big comic book in the comic book industry, a big one of the the top like if you appreciate comics, you have to own Sandman. Like, it's just kind of one of those,
it's a staple.
Seminal titles. Staple. So I'll get to it eventually, and we can do a deeper dive. But right now, I feel like it's a very one-sided conversation because
that's fair. I just
sure thing, Graham. I trust what you're saying is true because I got nothing to add to this one. So
that's fair. I'm sorry about that. But, it was a thought that came to my head, and I wanted to talk about it.
Well, I don't pay you for your thoughts. I pay you for your opinions.
That's fair. Fucker? It was an opinion I had, a long opinion. But I had to get it off my chest. I had to get it off my chest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should.
It'd be like that sometimes.
I had to crack more beer just to get through it. So, but say I wanted to learn more about your high opinions and other thoughts, or if you just want to hear some stories from that old brain of yours, where could I find it?
Well, that's actually a very interesting question because my website is very close to being ready to publish. mad-musings.com. It's where you can find my short stories, my shorter stories, poetry, scenes from like plays, just a variety of different writing exercises, some photography that I've taken. It'll just be a variety of my work. So that's mad-musings.com. Tales by a Young Curmudgeon. And keep an eye out for that. You can also find me at Outrageous Creation. That's an underscore between outrageous and creation on Instagram. I don't post very much, but I'm trying to.
I'm aware.
Trying to be more active on there.
You could try sharing this show once in a while.
Once I have something to balance it off, I need at least one thing to balance it off. Mad Musings is going to be my balancer.
Start sharing the show, you conceited asshole. Get off your high horse.
No, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna do this my way. All right.
No, fuck you.
Fuck you. I'm doing
it
my way.
Share this fucking show. Frank Sinatra, listen to me. Share the goddamn show.
I've got a great story about Frank Sinatra, but that's for next time.
Yeah.
What about you, Corey? Where can we find you?
I have about this much tolerance.
Where can we find you online in website form, social media form?
Christ.
Is there anything that you want to share with the fans?
I'll just let you talking. See what you say.
Is there anything that you want to let the hardcore fans at home?
I had amazing news, and you were like, "Shut the fuck up. Let's talk about Sandman." So whatever. We're gonna move past that.
Well, then, do you want to talk about your good news before you sign off?
No, I don't. I'm done. I've put it out there in the world. It's happened. So
okay, then.
Past it.
Well, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You done?
Fuck you.
All right.
Sorry, I sneezed.
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
I can be found on most social medias, if not all. Yeah, all social medias.
All social medias.
All social medias. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Shit, you might be able to find me on MySpace with this. At Roxyboy, ROKESYBOY. And through that, you can also find my website. The URL is some generic bullshit based on Wix that I won't recount here. But yeah, you hit me up on social media and you'll find the website. And it's got all my photography, videography, and a bunch of other random shit that nobody really gives a shit about. So we're going to move past it. But
yeah.
Well, I think we're hitting about the 1.5 hour mark right now, so I think we should call it a night. What do you say, bud?
I think so. I mean, it's not quite as bad as last week where you tried to list off your website, and that went horribly.
No.
Did you leave that in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You bet your fucking high ass I did. I didn't cut shit from last week, so it's all in there.
Oh, God.
You want to know a spoiler?
What?
Nothing's getting cut tonight either.
Oh man, you might live to regret that statement, but who knows?
Who knows? We'll find out.
We'll find out.
If you got any questions or comments on the last couple episodes or anything, you feel free to hit us up with that like, subscribe, and feel free to toss a comment.
Any drunk thoughts or high opinions of your own,
Yeah, cocaine comments, mushroom musings, anything you want to share. We're all about.
I need to get mushroom musings up off the ground. Yeah, that we'll do that channel while you angrily punch walls and punch holes in the wall.
Sounds about right. But yeah, that's our spinoff: cocaine comments and mushroom musings. But we're all about here. Here at Drunk Thoughts and High Opinions, it's all about handling your high. Having a good time, but being productive, being smart, and being safe about doing it. So
exactly.
Tip your nurses.
Do it in the safety of your own homes.
Yep.
So.
But in the meantime, I've been Corey Rokes, and I've been your Drunk Thoughts.
And I'm Graham Stebniewski. I've been your High Opinions.
Cheers, everyone.
Have a great night. A great